y'all, it's Kay from the Literary Apothecary, and today for Booktube Book Tag Tuesday, we're going to be doing the Loki book tag. This was created by Eric at Breakeven Books, and I love Loki so much. He's my favorite Marvel superhero. That's it. I said it. He is. And so I just had to do this book tag because I gotta honor Loki. So all of these questions are based off of the character Loki and the new Marvel show on Disney Plus, Loki. And these were really hard to do, but I had a lot of fun thinking of answers for these. So let's just get into it. Question 1, mischief, because Loki is the god of mischief. A book with a mischievous character. For me, this one is none other than Harry Potter series and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I had to give my props to Peeves because he is left out in the movies and he is such a fantastic character. In the books, he's so mischievous, and when he and George and Fred Weasley get together in Order of the Phoenix and wreak havoc on Hogwarts and Professor Umbridge, it is some of the best scenes in this entire series. So my answer for question 1, mischief, is Harry Potter, and especially Peeves and the Weasley twins, who get up to so much trouble. Question 2, variant 1, show a book you have more than one version of. And I don't have many of these because I've been doing a lot of unhauls and getting rid of a lot of duplicate books. So I went ahead and I chose Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I also have Emma and Sense and Sensibility in different copies because I have the bind-up of Jane Austen's 7 novels in here. So this is all of Jane Austen's novels in one book, and I have a couple different copies of individual books by Jane Austen. Question 3, variant 2, show a book series where you have multiple book editions in the series. Again, this one was hard because I don't have a lot of multiple editions of one book, but it does give me a chance to show off my amazing books from my lovely Booktube friends. So I'm going to say Outlander. I have the first 3 books in multiple editions of the Outlander series. As you can see, this is one, and the lovely juniper set up there, that's amazingly beautiful, and you see it in all of my videos because I love showing it off. This one is like my reading copy, and the ones up there are my display pretty copies that you only look at because I'm afraid to rip the pages because they're so thin inside. But yeah, Outlander series, a book series where you have multiple book editions of the series. Question number 4, Prune, a book that you recently unhauled or are planning to get rid of. And this could be so many different books because I've been doing a lot of unhaul trips lately, just trying to weed out my books to make room for more books. I'm going to say for this one, The Other Einstein by Marie Benedict. I recently unhauled this to a friend, and I really enjoyed this book a lot. It's about kind of basically Einstein's wife that supposedly created a lot of the different formulas that he is famous for. And I really enjoyed this historical fiction book, but I thought, I'm not going to reread this, so let me unhaul it to someone who will be able to enjoy this again. Question 5, Enchantment, a book that had you under a spell, a book that you could not put down. And for me, the most recent one was The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. This book was so good. I loved this book. I didn't want to stop reading it, and it definitely had me in a spell because every time I was reading it, I felt like I was in this world with these characters, and part of it is narrated in second person point of view, so it talks to you directly, and that just sucked me in even more, made me feel like I was actually part of the story instead of just reading it. So Enchantment, I'm going with The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. Question 6, Timekeepers. Name a series that has stood the test of time. Bonus points if it's a trilogy. And for all of these answers, I tried to stick to books that I have read or am currently reading. And so this one was hard. I didn't come up with a trilogy because I didn't want to go with the obvious answers. So instead, I went with the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett, and especially the City Watch series, which I'm in the middle of reading now. I absolutely love this series, and I think it definitely has stood the test of time. It is being enjoyed over and over and over again, and thanks to Alan at Library of Alexandria, a lot of people are now rereading this or reading this for the first time, like me, because he's brought it to the Booktube world's attention. So The Discworld by Terry Pratchett, everyone should go read this because it's such a fun series and it's hilarious. It's a great palate cleanser in between the bigger, more serious fantasy books, and you just gotta read it. Question 7, Asgard, a book with royalty or godlike figures. And speaking of the bigger, more serious fantasy books, I'm going with Malice by John Gwynne here, and I believe I'm, as you can see, probably about a little more than halfway through this book, and this has both royalty and godlike figures in this book. Well, we're told of godlike figures so far, and so this was an obvious choice for me. It's got many different kings and royalties, and we learn of 2 godlike figures so far in this book, in this series. So Malice by John Gwynne. Question 8, Daggers, a book that cut you deep and made you emotional. And you all have heard me talk about this book many times, but I couldn't not talk about it for this question. That's The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. If you haven't read this yet, what are you waiting for? It's so good, but especially there's a character in here, May, who feels the world's pain on her. She takes all of the world's pain onto her own, and that character just resonated so much with me. I call myself an emotional sponge where I just soak up other people's emotions so they don't have to deal with it, and May's character just hit me to the bone in this book. Question 9, Illusion, a book you bought because you thought the cover was pretty but it ended up being bad. And so for this one, I kind of twerked the question a little bit because I couldn't think of anything here, because I have enjoyed part of just about every book I've read, and if I didn't, then they weren't pretty covers, I didn't think. So for me, I twisted this to say a book that has a pretty cover, and then I later found out that someone was talking about it not because they enjoyed it, but because of how much they didn't enjoy it, and that's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. I just love that cover, and then I learned that Mitch and Michael Knipp didn't really like this book, and he just talked about it so that other people could feel his pain that he read. So I'm still going to read this book and see where I fit on that in that pendulum, because I know some people really love this book, and some people, like Mitch, didn't love it at all. But that cover is worth it. I love that cover, the black with the blues and everything. It's so beautiful. So I am excited to see where I fall on this pendulum of To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. So then our last question is just tag some friends. And so for this one, I'm going to be tagging Leslie at The Nerdy Narrative, who is also a Loki fan, Andrew at Wizardly Reads, who I think would have a really fun time with this, and Evie, as she was only Evie, who is one of my best friends, and I can't wait to see their answers. If you've seen this and you want to do it, consider yourself tagged. I can't wait to hear what all of your answers are. Put them down in the comments below. As always, my Patreon and my Discord information will be in the description below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back. Bye.